Well, I want to thank everyone for taking their time and being on our call and being introduced to Freedom Equity Group. If this is your first time seeing us tonight, welcome. Hopefully you'll get some great information out of this tonight. But what we're going to talk to you about tonight is the financial revolution, okay? And Freedom Equity Group truly believes that there is a financial revolution coming. So with that said, before we get started, a quick disclaimer for you. We are not tax accountants, nor are we lawyers. We are not here to give you tax or legal advice. We're just here to share some basic concepts, some common sense solutions to problems that people face every day. Now, today's objectives, what we're trying to accomplish today is we want to share some information that will benefit you and your family and people that you know, love, and care about. Okay? And we're going to explain how by sharing and teaching this information, it could benefit you and your family financially. Okay, so what makes Freedom Equity Group different? Well, we believe our crusade is set in a way that we can only describe as incredible to revolutionize a multi-trillion-dollar industry. No different than when McDonald's changed the restaurant business, or Apple revolutionized communication, or how Starbucks changed the coffee industry. Freedom Equity Group is here to revolutionize the financial service industry. Our compensation model is second to none. We have powerful alliances with some of the industry's largest, oldest, and most reputable and highest rated companies. And we have the best exit strategy in the industry, ESP or equity share points. So let's tell you a little bit about us and who we are here at Freedom Equity Group. These three gentlemen, Ron Petrinovich, Ron Blumenkemper, and Bill St. Clair, founded our company in 2002, and combined, they have over 100 years of experience in the financial service industry. During their incredibly successful careers, they have built and sold one of the most successful companies in financial services and shared the profit with the agents who helped them build it. Something that's never been done before, we've already done it. Okay, now here are some powerful alliances that we've established here at Freedom Equity Group, some of our powerful partners, and there are a variety of them. American National, Fidelity and Guarantee, National Life Group, and many others. And one in particular that has come to the forefront and that we're really excited about is AIG. And let's talk a little bit about AIG, okay? AIG is the lead insurer for the Freedom Tower. In fact, they're the largest insurance company in the world, okay? They work with over 87% of the companies in the global 500 market and the 83% of the companies in the Forbes 2000 and have over $1 trillion worth of life insurance in force. And in fact, they insure 52% of the North American-based collectors listed in the ART News Top 200 list. Now, why we're really excited is because Freedom Equity Group has formed the ultimate alliance with AIG. We are the only IMO co-branded by AIG. First time ever in the history of the company, okay? Now, what do we do at Freedom Equity Group? And I want to frame it for you like this, okay? Because you're going to hear to us refer to Family A, Family B quite a bit through this presentation. So let's set the foundation. Family A, they have an asset, and that asset is for their heirs, it's for their children, it's for their estate, okay? Family B has the exact same asset, but that asset can be used for emergencies, it can be used for college funding, it can be used for tax-free retirement income and tax-free savings, it can be used for business expenses, to take a vacation, down payment on a house, pay off debt, whatever it is that you need to use it for, and it's also for your heirs, for your children, and for your estate. So if you had to choose between Family A and Family B, which one would you rather be? I'm sure that you would all pick Family B. Well, what is your family's most valuable asset? And a lot of times when we ask this question, people say things like, well, it's my home, or it's my jewelry, or it's my trust, or something to that nature. But in fact, instead of being material, our most valuable asset is our ability to earn an income. That's our most valuable asset as people, okay? And now, here's the question. What happens if that income stops? It's a fair question, right? And in fact, according to MarketWatch.com, April of this year, 50% of the Americans are living from paycheck to paycheck. And it's a big problem. Now, what happens if that income stops? And I want to tell you a little story. This is a true story, by the way, about a family friend of mine from back east. His name is Mike, okay? He's from Massachusetts. Mike was a very successful attorney in Massachusetts. He owned his own law practice. He owned a beautiful home right on the water, had a wife, teenage daughter at the time, and he owned $1 million worth of traditional life insurance, okay? At age 44, Mike had a massive heart attack that required him to have triple bypass surgery. Now, fortunately, Mike is very much still alive today, but as a result of him getting sick, he was unable to work and provide for his family. And as a result of his income stopping, he lost his home, he almost lost his practice, and was financially crippled in the process. So the real question is, can you afford to live if something happened to you? Because facts are, if you got sick and couldn't go to work, who pays your bills? Who pays the mortgage or your rent? Who pays for the car note or for the car insurance? Who pays for the health insurance? These bills don't stop just because our income does. Forget about trying to save for college for your children or for retirement. Most families have a hard time putting food on the table. So how long could you and your family survive financially if you got sick and couldn't go to work? It's a fair question. And for most people, that answer is, I'm not entirely sure or not very long, okay? Now, here's what we know. 70% of Americans will suffer a heart attack, stroke, or cancer before they reach age 65. And those who are unfortunate to suffer them, well, 70% of those people survive. Now, let's tell you a story about a survivor, okay? This is Dr. Jonathan. Dr. Jonathan was a physician back on the East Coast, also located in Massachusetts. Dr. Jonathan was introduced to Freedom Equity Group and some of the basic concepts and solutions that we have for people, and he decided to become a client. Now, 3 weeks after Dr. Jonathan became a client, he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer, throat cancer. However, 4 weeks after his diagnosis, he received a check for $734,000, not because he died, but because he got sick. The bottom line is we made a huge difference for Dr. Jonathan. So what we're talking about is a concept that we call living benefits. And there are 3 of them. You have critical illness, things like heart attacks, strokes, cancer, and as many as 16 triggers in some states. Some of those triggers include things like blindness, paralysis, loss of limbs, major burns, ALS, things that can happen to anybody at any time. Chronic illness. If you're unable to perform 2 of the 6 activities of daily living, things like eating, dressing, going to the bathroom by yourself, transferring or bathing. And we also have terminal illness. If a doctor gives you 2 years or less to live, you could take a benefit while you're still alive, like Dr. Jonathan. And all of these are included at no additional cost. So most people own some kind of protection, like I'm sure most of you do on this call. But does that protection only cover you in death, or does it cover you in life as well? Living benefits is life insurance that you do not have to die to use. It'll pay you if you get sick, like it paid Dr. Jonathan, okay? Now, who needs our help? Well, there are 82 million millennials, 46 million Generation Xers, 77 million baby boomers, and 40 million seniors. That makes over 200 million people who are in need of some financial and retirement solutions. Now, when we speak about retirement, let's look a little bit deeper into that. And here are some very scary statistics. In fact, we believe that this is a retirement crisis in America. On average, for every 100 people who reach age 65, 96% are either dead or dead broke. Only 4% of the people who get to age 65 can actually afford to retire at what's considered above poverty level. Now let's look at some of the ways that we retire. This is so scary, in fact, that according to Go Banking rates, 66% of Americans fear going broke and running out of money more than they do death. People would rather be dead than broke. This is a big, big problem, folks. So let's look at how we save for retirement. Now, these are just some basic financial principles that have been around for a long time. The first one is the rule of 72. And if you're unfamiliar with this rule, basically you divide the rate of return that you receive into 72, and the result is the number of years required for your money to double. This is what we call compound interest, and Albert Einstein said it's the 8th greatest wonder in the world, okay? Now let's take a look at an example. If you were earning 4%, well then your money doubles every 18 years. If you were earning 6%, your money doubles every 12 years. And if you were earning 8%, your money doubles every 9 years. Now some people may look at this and say, well, 8 is exactly twice as much as 4, so my money should be twice as much as 4, right? And in fact, it's better than that. It's actually much better than that, 4 times better than that. So once you understand compound interest, you understand the power of it if utilized correctly. Now, here's some other principles. What is the high cost of waiting? Now let's assume that what is the monthly investment required for you to accumulate $1 million by the time you reach age 65 at an 8% annual compound interest rate? And we'll take a look at this here. If you started at age 25, well, you only need to save $286 per month. But if you waited until you were age 40, now you have to save over $1,000 per month. And if you waited until you're age 50, now that number is $2,889 per month. And if you waited until you're age 60, with only 5 years left to retirement, you have to save a staggering $13,609 per month in order for you to accumulate $1 million by the time you reach age 65. Most people wait too long. And that's part of the crisis in America when it comes to retirement. Now, what are some of the ways that we can save money? Well, we can save it in tax now, we can save it in tax later, or we can save it in tax never. You heard me right, that's tax never. You know, in tax now, each year you pay income taxes on the earnings you receive. In tax deferred or tax later, you accumulate tax deferred and you pay taxes when you take your money out. But when tax never, you can accumulate tax deferred money and take that money out 100% tax free. So would it be fair to say that if you had money in tax now or tax later, that you would want to move it to tax never? I'm sure you would, as do most people, okay? So what are the enemies of investors when it comes to retirement? Well, you can see this chart here. There are 2 lines. One's the red line, one's the blue line. One represents family A, one represents family B. Now, what do these lines actually represent? Well, family A has saved their money in a tax later situation, traditionally 401ks. And this is how those would have performed historically from 1997 to 2016. Now, family B has decided to save their money in a tax never situation. See, the enemies of investors are market risk. And you can see here, the risk is huge because the difference between family A and family B is nearly $200,000 of investment in retirement money. All other enemies of investors include taxes, fees, and time. Because time is the one thing that we can't get back and we don't have enough of. And if we don't start now, it may be too late for some of us. So what is the anatomy of an ideal savings strategy? Well, in our opinion, you would want to have tax-deferred growth and tax-free income. You would also want to protect yourself, guaranteed against any loss. And you would also want stock market-based returns. Now, if you could have all these in one product, that would be pretty beneficial for you, correct? Well, good news. There is one product, and it's called Indexed Universal Life, or IUL. This is the ultimate accumulation strategy because this will allow you to use tax-free cash value access through withdrawal loans for a variety of different things. Things like supplemental retirement income or covering emergencies, business expenses, colleges, college education, weddings, vacation homes, taking vacations, starting a business or home improvements, and the list goes on and on and on. So, family A, family B. Family A, they own death insurance. That's what my friend Mike owned. That's what most people in America own today. That is death insurance, okay? Now, family B, they are protected if they die too soon, get sick along the way, or live a long, healthy life. So if we had to ask, who do you know that would want to be family B? I'm sure that you can think of at least a handful of people. Now, with that said, I'd like to introduce our co-host, my co-anchor here, Al Carty. Al Carty's been in this industry for 32 years, has a variety of knowledge, and we are fortunate enough for him to take some time to share some more information with us. So Al, thank you for your time, and I will turn it over to you.
Great. Fantastic job. And again, folks, I appreciate everybody being on the call. We're trying to keep these calls or webinars very, very tight. We just want to give you a taste of what it is that we do. It's very, very simple, okay? They're a big problem, a big gaping hole in America today is the fact that, you know, most people have health insurance, most people have life insurance. The problem is that doesn't take care of them if they get sick. Living benefits is absolutely a phenomenon. 96 to 97% of America have no idea they exist. So clearly, that's why we feel this is a financial revolution for us. The other thing that we do that we feel very, very strongly about is teaching people about money. And so they understand the value of money. And it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It could be, you know, $50 or $100 a month or something like that, where people, if they understood what to do with it, they could do better. But, you know, it's worse than that, folks. Okay, so when we call this a financial revolution, we know why we say that. And the fact is people need to make more money. Now, why do they need to make more money? Well, look at some of these numbers. In 1980, and I know some of you on this call may not have even been born then, but for comparison purposes, I think you'll get it. You know, the Dow Jones average was 1,000. Today, it's over 20,000. You know, federal debt back then was just under $1 trillion. Today, it's 20 trillion. To buy a new car, something we can relate to perhaps better, was $7,200. Today, you need $33,000 to buy an average car. It's 365% inflation from where we were in 1980. Look at buying a new home, $62,000 versus over $400,000, 546%. But look at the last one. The average family income only grew 252%. Well, if everything that we buy costs more, and yet people aren't making enough money, their pay has not gone up commensurate with inflation, wouldn't you agree we got a problem? Are we going backwards or are we going forwards? See, America is in a financial crisis. 55% of Americans last year did not save 1 penny. 50% of Americans last year stated, actually Mike stated it earlier in this presentation, are living paycheck to paycheck. Well, that's pretty scary. 70% of Americans hate their jobs. But, you know, that's the Gallup poll said that. So if you got people aren't saving money and people are living paycheck to paycheck, I think you can understand, while we talk about what happens if you get sick, well, that's a big problem. But what if there was a way to change some of that? But before you can do that, you have to realize where you are, you know? So we like to ask this question: are you where you thought you were going to be 10 years ago? I want you to think about 10 years ago and think about where you are today. And are you where you thought you were going to be? Most people say, no, I mean, my plans were much bigger than that. Well, here's the question though. What do the next 10 years look like? If we keep doing the same thing over and over, what's really going to change? In fact, some might call that the definition of insanity, doing the same things over and over and over and expecting things to change, when in reality, they really don't. So how does this all tie into what we do? Because, you know, is it time for a change? We believe for many people, they're looking for a change. They're looking for an opportunity. I can tell you, you know, being in business for the last, 32 years, I was a 23-year-old kid when I started. Somebody said, would you like to make more money? And I said, who the heck wouldn't? I mean, I lived in a modest family, modest home. I had a job like everybody else, right? You go to school, and what do schools do? They prepare you to go get a job. And that's where I was. I was in the job, realizing that if I was going to live in the kind of house I wanted to live in, I had to do something better. I couldn't do what I was doing and expect things to change. If I wanted to drive a nice car or whatever it might be, I couldn't do any of that. So the reality of it is we have a compensation plan based on what we just talked about. And I want to share that with you right now because, see, most people don't come from a financial background. Neither did I. Al Carty was in manufacturing. Somebody said, "Do you want to make more money?" I said, "Sure." They showed me a concept where I could teach people how to get more value for money they were already spending. And my answer to them was, look, I don't know if I could do it, but it's got to be worth the try. And I've been trying ever since. And we've had a phenomenal career for the last 30 plus years because I took control of my life. And we want to give you that same opportunity. And I'm not sure if this is your cup of tea or not, but here's what I do want to show you. If you got started with us once you were trained, just as a representative, just getting started, it's entry level. You help one family a week, like we talked about family A, family B, right? Taking them from an obsolete product called traditional death insurance, showing them how they can have living benefits, life insurance, something that will pay them if they need it. Help one family a week. That's $40,000 a year, part-time. What if you were a regional manager with us? Obviously, you make a little bit more money. That's $63,000 a year. If you became a vice president, as a vice president, that's $80,000 a year. Okay. Now, for most people, 25% of the working population is working on minimum wage. Well, just helping one family a week far surpasses that at $40,000. Now, these are examples of people that we help. We're just using some averages here. But now let me show you something a little bit more, okay? We like to call this the builder's compensation. I really believe everybody would like to be in business for themselves if they could, if they had an opportunity to do that. We call this the builder's compensation program, okay? So become a leader with us and build a team. Now, what do we mean by that? You become a vice president with us, you help just one client a week or 4 clients a month, 4 families, okay? And you just have 3 people that you work with that can help 2 people a month. That's it. Very, very small business, but you're in control of it. Look at the income, folks. That's a 6-figure income in one of the largest industries in the world. And the real benefit to that is that also qualifies people at this level for the equity share points program that we talk about. So we're real excited about what we're doing. And of course, we're looking for more people. So what we offer is an opportunity for the right person, okay? Now, when I say the right person, somebody that is looking for great income, somebody that would like to travel. More importantly, somebody that wants to be their own boss, have the financial stability to say, you know what, if it's gonna be, it's up to me. Be able to provide more for your family, by having your own business, being able to control your own destiny. I think back, I can remember sitting in that room 32 years ago, and I heard things like become financially independent, be your own boss, control your own destiny. What I heard was freedom. And I can't tell you, the hair on the back of my neck stands up every time I talk about this here because it's so true. And that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years of my life, And last but not least, be in business, maybe nationwide. If you're a big thinker, for those of you on the call that think big, do great things for other people. Folks, what we do matters. What we do by helping people and educating them on simple decisions, really, that make a compelling difference. You have to understand, folks, when there's 200 million people that have no idea of the concept of, say, living benefits, well, it's eye-opening for them when we show it to them, just like I'm sure it was for you looking at this here. Last but not least, you might say, well, does it take a lot of money? No, there's no major investments here. Do I need experience? No, you do not, because we have a full training and mentoring program. You don't need any inventory. You don't have to fill up your garage with potions and lotions or any of that kind of stuff. We don't do that. There's no loss of job security here because we encourage you to start part-time while you're learning the business. We have no monthly fees that you have to pay or subscription fees. This is a real business in a $7 trillion industry. And frankly, we don't have enough people to get the job done, okay? Just to give you real quickly, in 1980, I'll use that same number. There were over 500,000 people in this business serving about 225 million people, the population. Today, We have over 300 million people in the population, but we only have about 200,000 people to serve them. So in reality, the market has grown and we have less people doing. So I think you could understand why we call it a financial revolution. It's serious. What we do is serious, and our business plan is very, very serious too, because we can show people literally how to make significant changes in their life. So I'd like to close by saying this here. Where do you see yourself? I'm sure you and your family could benefit from the information we shared with you today. Well, we already know that, okay? Who do you know? And I'm sure you're thinking about this. Who do you know that could benefit from this information? I'm sure you know of people that have had maybe a heart attack, stroke, cancer, survived. Family went through a bit of a financial crisis. That's why you see these GoFundMes all over the place, trying to help people that were sick, that didn't have enough money. A lot of churches step in to help those families. Well, now we have a financial solution for those families. Next thing, maybe you want to make some extra income. Maybe you love what you do, but you don't make enough money. Maybe you'd like to buy a house someday, drive a nicer car, put your kids to college. Look, for some people, making an extra $10,000 or $15,000 a year part-time means they change their zip code and their kids go to better schools. We take that very, very seriously in our mentoring program, okay? Some of you, like me, didn't want to be in the position that I was in. Maybe you don't want to be in the position you're in, and you're looking for somebody to give you an opportunity to get away from that. Maybe down the road, if you become a full-time business owner with us, maybe that would really be something that you're looking for, okay? But last but not least, just before I close out the call, I just want to say again, we appreciate you being on the call. The purpose of this call was not to teach you everything that we do. The purpose of it was to give you in simplistic form what we do, okay? What we do is we educate people on living benefits, which is a necessity in people's lives today, and there's no way we can get to everybody fast enough. The second thing we need to do is we need to solve the retirement crisis. People are retiring dead or dead broke. There's a flawed system here, folks, and we believe part of our revolution is to educate people on how to get out of that. But probably the biggest thing we offer the right individual is a chance to change their lives financially by being in one of the largest industries in the world, making a difference for other families, and having a chance to make more money for their families. So if any of those things appeal to you, what we encourage you to do is get together with the person who invited you to be on this call and discuss your options with them. Do it quickly in the next day or two. Call them up, say, hey, what do I need to do to get started? Can I get started? How does this all work? Of course, we'd be happy to take you through that. So in closing, again, I thank you for your time. We really appreciate you, taking the time to be on the call. And hopefully you have a little bit of excitement as we do just by hearing what you heard tonight. Thank you and have a great night.